meeting, Governing Board, on December 16th, 2024. And I want to stand for the pledge. And Mr. Lane will do the pledge.
Please join me for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, I'm going to have fun. This is going to keep turning off. Okay. Call order, pledge.
Oh, Amber's on.
Okay. Amber's on? Good.
Yep, Amber and Hudson.
My pen. Here it goes.
No, that's Matt Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay, we have presentations, recognitions. First thing is 3A, Students of the Month, which we really enjoy.
Mr. President, members of the Governing Board, I'd like to turn over the Student of the Month recognition to Dr. Dillon so she can introduce the Dean.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board, afternoon, evening, wherever we are. We're here today. That's where I'm
I was
at.
born somewhere.
Somewhere. Welcome today. There we are. It is a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm always excited to introduce our Students of the Month. But I am going to start, of course, with Jen Schwartz, and then I'll have you introduce the next person after you.
Mr. President, members of the Governing Board, thank you for allowing me to come here tonight to introduce my instructors who will introduce fabulous students that are very well deserving of the Student of the Month recognition. So first, I'd like to call up Ms. Carol Mulhorn, one of my medical assistant instructors. Ms. Mulhorn, if you please come up here.
Hi, I'm Carol. I'm at the Power Campus, medical assisting. This will be my 5th year with EVIT, and I have, we call her JoJo, in our class, and she's absolutely wonderful. Is this when I say something about her? Okay. She is just what EVIT wants as a student. She's exemplary in her work, in her ethics, in how she conducts herself. I could go on and on about what JoJo does. She helps other students in class, helps me in class, and she's everything that we want out there representing us and our mission statement.
So, JoJo, come on. Introduce yourself and what school you go to, then I have some questions.
My name is JoJo Scott. I go to ALA Applied Technologies, and then I go to EVIT in the afternoon for medical assisting.
How did you find out about the program?
I knew about it like when I was in 7th grade, and I was planning on going into the program, and then I ended up going to ALA Applied Tech for LNA, and it didn't really work out, so I decided to go to EVIT, and it was probably the best decision I made.
Okay, Dr. Wilson, any questions?
So tell me a little bit about what your plans are post-completion of EVIT and post-completion of high school.
I really want to go into nursing school, and I want to do travel nursing for a little bit, but I really want my career to be in pediatric neuro-oncology.
Oh, wow. That's a great one, actually. So do you have loved ones, family, parents here with you today?
Yes, I have my grandpa, my grandma, and my mom right here, and then on the end is my dad, my grandma, and then Cody.
Well, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, mom, we're very grateful that we have the opportunity to work with your daughter. We understand that students like your daughter are who they are because of the love that you've poured into their life. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to spend time with your daughter and with your granddaughter. Very much appreciate it. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mulhorn and JoJo. I have one more instructor and another well-deserving student to introduce to you. So if I could please have Ms. Tellez and her student come up to the podium, please.
Hello, I want to introduce Evelyn Madrigal. She is amazing. She attends the medical assisting one-year program, so she comes to school 4 hours a day. She goes to her high school in the afternoon. She takes college courses. She does volunteer work. She's part of how many clubs? 6?
I think
5 clubs. She just cares so much about taking care of others. She cares about her work. She cares about her role in the classroom. She's a leader. She's very outgoing. She's very well spoken. She's the student I wish I was at that age. I think she's amazing and definitely deserves to be recognized.
Hi, I'm Evelyn Madrigal, and I go to Mountain Point High School.
Yeah, because you're going to leave him here.
So Evelyn, what are your plans post high school and post EVIT?
I want to become a registered nurse.
Good for you. Yeah. You are at, what's your high school?
Mountain Point High School?
Mountain Point High School, and you go to Mountain Point in the afternoon?
Yes.
And so what time do you start here in the mornings?
I come here at 7.
At 7? And she's never late. And she's never late. And you, Ms. Taya said you also take college classes?
Yes.
What classes are you taking?
Right now, I'm not taking any classes because I'm enrolled in a class, but they haven't enrolled me yet.
Okay. What is the class going to be?
I think I'm going to take science.
Science. Very good. Have you taken any college courses?
Yes.
What have you taken so far?
I've taken psychology, English 101, English 102. I've taken math. I've taken just all the basics.
So I'm going to ask Dr. Schreiner, if you would, or Dr. Doolin, one of the two, to give a little information to Evelyn, if you would, about opportunities that she might be interested in.
As a nurse of many years, I have love her. I have a great appreciation for where you are. All of these things are going to play a big role in your life later, and I do hope you will consider EVIT for your nursing program. We do have a college degree program in registered nursing, so please do consider this. But there are more opportunities than you could possibly imagine. It's not just what you see, and there's a nursing shortage. Whatever it is you think you want to do in life, you can do it with your nursing license. And I'd be happy to speak with either of you about getting there.
And then checking my comprehension, I didn't mean for this to be a tutorial session, but checking my comprehension. So our program, we can accept your transfer credits and assuming that they match our requirement for admissions, right? So your ENG 101, 102, your science may be transferable from, I'm assuming you're taking it through Mesa, Maricopa Community Colleges, we could transfer here. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, either of you, being an EVIT student, assuming that you meet the requirements, gives you a foot into our door where you may not have that same foot in other programs just because there's so many people on the wait list.
Yes, that is correct. She would have, both of them, if they were interested, would have priority seating. As long as they meet the qualifications, they're basically guaranteed a seat in the nursing program.
So the two of you, as you transition out of high school into your post-secondary pathway of becoming a RN as part of that pathway, we would encourage you to reach out to our counseling department, our adult education department, and see if we can't help you make a decision, whether it's here or not, but that potentially gets you on that pathway sooner rather than later. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Do you have parents, grandparents,
Yes.
brothers?
I have my parents and my sister.
You want to introduce them for us?
That is my mom, Sonia, and that is my sister, Kenneth, and then my dad, Ramon.
Mom, dad, sister, as I said to the other parents, we're very grateful that we have the opportunity to work with your daughter. As I said, we recognize that your daughter is the product of the work that you've done to raise her, and clearly you've done well. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to spend time with her. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know.
That's great. Okay. Dr. Doolin, excuse me, wrong one. Okay, we're going to do some data presentations.
Do we want to give them an opportunity to go?
Oh, did I make a mistake? Oh, yes, I will. Okay. We have done our favorite part, and I'm trying to sequester you here and keep you, but you don't have to. This is the best part of the meeting. We have a nice audience, but you do not have to stay for the rest of this if you don't want to. You are welcome to depart. And,
Or you can stay for
Or
all
you
the
can
board
stay, whichever
parts.
one.
yeah,
Sure.
I tell you,
You're more than welcome.
you want to know why
We'll
we
give you an
call,
opportunity.
you want to know why we call board? It's a boring meeting. Thank you for coming.
Thank you
you.
very much.
Congratulations.
Hey, Dr. Dula, she'd have all those credits already, she wouldn't have to pay for them, would she?
Correct.
That's pretty good.
What's that?
No. Been here a time.
Call for the hook.
Yeah, no,
Got emotional.
Well, that's what grandma's supposed to do. My wife here didn't do that.
So, Mr. President, members of the governing board, before we start on the data presentation, I'd just like to set the stage for the work that we're doing and why we're doing it. As a reminder, you, as a governing board, are charged with the quality and content of CTE programming, not just at the central campus, but across the entire CTED. And so in collaboration with the CTE directors, Dr. Doolin has spent quite a bit of time trying to create an evaluation instrument that we believe will allow us to measure data and use that data to inform decisions on what we can do better, what's working, what we can celebrate, and what we can do better. You will hear this throughout the presentation. One of the things that is important to us as an organization is that we apply the same standard to that we apply the same rules to the central campus as we
Dr.
apply to the
Wilson?
satellite campus.
I think we're supposed to be doing the updated program evaluation instrument.
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
The same as the satellite campus.
Yeah.
So remember that as you hear the data that Dr. Doolin walks you through, whatever we're expecting on the satellite campuses, we're applying that expectation to ourselves at the central campus.
Okay, this is part of it.
Yeah, so we're doing 3B, the persistence data presentation.
That one set.
That's where we're at on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. Just so
Yes,
we're all
ma'am.
on the same page. Okay. I don't know that I would say I'm excited to present to you tonight because it's going to be a mouthful. There's a lot here, but we wanted to make sure that we got you this information as you guys requested. If you remember back, you asked that I had this for you by the end of the year. So I'm squeaking it in the last board meeting in December. And I really want to, before I begin, I really want to thank Nicole Quo-Thomason. She has worked tirelessly behind the scenes to gather all this data, and I would like her to set the stage and remind everyone where this data came from and how you compiled it.
Sure. Thank you so much. Each of the sending districts, as well as EVIT, we all submit data to ADE. ADE has its CTE data portal, and in the spirit of fairness, in order to ensure that we're being consistent, we're using the numbers that the sending districts themselves have submitted to the state and comparing those. We're doing a 3-year comparison. So we're starting with academic year 2022, and we're moving through 24, which ended this May. So
It's up.
Oh,
It's
up.
over here. You just can't see it, so it's on
Okay,
my side.
Wonderful.
So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to dive in on this, and I want to start with, this is the EVIT Central Campus data on persistence is where we're going to start. So for EVIT Central Campus, there was a couple things that Dr. Wilson wanted to make sure we took into consideration. We have courses that are 2 sequence courses, which means basically it's 2 courses to complete the program. Those courses we can complete in 1 year here at EVIT because we have a block schedule. So for those block schedule programs, Dr. Wilson wants EVIT Central Campus to be at 85% or better persistence. So that is the goal that you're going to see. So in order, as you see on the board in front of you, in order to be in green, you have to be 85% or higher if it's a 2-sequence course. If it's a 3-sequence course, meaning that they have to come back for a second year, he wants us to be at 60% or higher. The ask is higher for Central Campus than he's asking for satellite campuses at this time. So I just wanted you to note that, is because EVIT's data is going to be compared a little differently. This comes back to what Dr. Wilson has stressed to us, is that we point the finger inward first and we make sure we clean up our own backyard before we start worrying about other people's backyard. So he really wanted to make sure that we are striving to be as good as we can be and really raising that bar here at the Central Campus. So with that in mind, I am not going to go over every single program because we would be here all night, but I wanted to take a moment for every school district and point out either some differences, but also highlight a program that's doing really well and then one that needs some assistance, just so that you can see what we're looking at as we go through this. So if you take a look at the EVIT main campus, the Central Campus, and we go to Automotive Technologies, you will note I picked this course as an example because you will see on there the auto has the 2 stars at the 3rd course. That means it is a 3-course sequence, which means it takes 2 years to complete. And so we want that at 60 or better, and it is at 67%. So that means that 67% of the students are persisting to the final course. So that is something that we're really excited about, that they're doing so well in auto. That was lower several years ago, and they've done a good job at retaining those students. Now we're going to take a look at a program that is struggling a little bit and kind of look at where they're at, and that's culinary arts. And so if you look at culinary arts, it is a 2-sequence program, which means it can be finished in a year. That one we are wanting to be at 85%, and you can see it's at 46%. So one of the things as we go through this, I could sit here and tell you all the reasons that it's at 46%, because there are reasons that are valid reasons that it's at 46%. But that's the same with every program that is below where we want it to be. There's always a reason, and sometimes it's a valid reason, but the goal is still to improve and get it where it needs to be. So I'm not going to take time today to give you the reasons, because as Dr. Wilson has said, the reasons don't matter except for in the improvement plan on how we're going to improve it. So we are working, the dean over this program is Mr. John Howell, and he's here today. And so we're going to be working together to do an improvement plan, and he's already started on it because we knew this data was coming. He's already been working with the program on how to retain those students and get better persistence to the end of the program. So I know already it's on track and doing better this year. So now I'm going to move on to the next satellite program, and the one I'm going to go to is Queen Creek. I'm going to do them first because...
Excuse me,
Yes.
one question if I can pop in.
Yes.
I am, and this is wonderful, we know me, I love spreadsheets, so I'm like,
Yes.
best board meeting ever so far, right? I am wondering how we have 111%
Yes, I'll
in
happy to
plumbing
explain
and
that.
109 in precision machining. That's great. I am also
It's
wondering
great.
how it happened.
So it depends on, so which one are you talking about? Because
Let's go with plumbing at the 111.
okay, let me get to plumbing. So sometimes it is
There it is.
because 111. That is because we had more students come and take the second sequence, the second portion before the first. So it could have been that they took plumbing at their satellite program and then came to us, which means that inflates our numbers.
Cool.
And you're going to see that in some of the satellites. They have similar things where a student might have taken it at EVIT one year and then they went back to their satellite, or they might have taken it at another school and then they transferred schools. So you will see that occasionally.
Perfect.
Or
Thank you.
in some cases, they've simply taken it out of sequence.
Yes.
Which is an issue.
Okay. Sure.
We're tracking all of that.
Great.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Queen Creek Unified School District because we do have members in the audience here from Queen Creek. And the first one we're going to start with is I'm going to start with Queen Creek High. Now, I chose Queen Creek. I'm glad Queen Creek's going first because it'll help me to walk you through this, and then the rest of them will go faster, if that makes sense. So when we're looking at Queen Creek High School, you will notice that they have 3 years of data on most of their programs. So you'll see 22, 23, 24 across. This is a well-established school. It has CTE programs, and they've been going for quite a while. So I want to first start off by looking at culinary arts. This is a call-out program, meaning they're doing a great job. So the goal for the satellites is 30%. Because it's a 2-year sequence, so we wanted it 30%. So their culinary arts is sitting at 41% right now. That's their combined retention rate. So when we have 3 years of data, we're looking at that combined retention rate being better at 30%. Now, you will see, I'm going to use engineering as an example if you go down. You will see on their engineering course that they have zeros in 23 and 24. That is typically because the program is being taught out, so it's no longer being offered. But as long as they have any data within the 3-year sequence, we include it. But all of that is taken into account when we're looking at what's happening with the program. So I have to tell you, looking at the data on Queen Creek High, I want to do a call out like a positive program, and then I want to tell you a program that needs some improvement. Queen Creek actually doesn't have any programs that I would say are in jeopardy of really needing to be on an improvement plan, because for the most part it's either a new program or like construction technologies. If you look at that, you'll see that they had zeros in AY22, but then they started it in AY23 and then AY24 they've offered both sequences. So that one's on track and going the right direction, so I'm not overly concerned. And then there are other programs that are low, like bioscience. You can see that there's zeros, they're teaching it out. So this is one of those where there's really nothing I'm overly concerned about at Queen Creek High. Okay, now we're going to go to Queen Creek Unified Chrisman High. I would like you to take a look at this one. I chose this one because this one has some interesting data in that this is our only new high school. So most of the high schools we're reviewing, in fact, I think all others, have the 3 years of data. Chrisman does not. It's a new school, so they don't have anything in year 2022. So it would not be fair for us to be looking at the combined retention, because there's no way their combined retention would be at the 30% because they have zeros in AY22. So what we're really looking at when we're looking at Chrisman is their cohort retention. And what the cohort retention is looking at, let's start with digital photography. Nicole? If you're looking at, they had 49 students in AY23, you will see that they had 4 return for AY24. So we're really looking at that cohort retention that would then give you the 8%. So this is one where we're looking at that. So that would be an example of a program that I would be concerned about, because it only has an 8% retention rate. They started with 49 students in AY23 and only had 4 return in AY24. However, a call-out program would be medical assisting. And if you look at medical assisting, looking at that same sequence, they had 34 students in AY23, and they had 21 return for AY24. So that would be a positive program for Chrisman.
May I interrupt?
Yes.
I just wanted to slow down for just a moment to make sure everyone is, when you're looking at the cohort, you're looking on the diagonal.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Nicole.
Sure.
I've done this so many times that, I just assume everybody knows. Okay, now we're going to Eastmark High School. So the call out on this one is I want you guys to look at nursing services. You will see at nursing services, they had a 39% combined retention, which is higher than that 30% we're looking for. But if you really look at their cohort retention for 22, 23, it is drastically higher. So they're going in the right direction. It's not only at 39%, but it's going up. One of them that I would call out as an area of concern or an area for improvement would be film and TV production. So on that one, the combined retention is at 26. So it's close to the 30, but the concern is when you look at the cohort, it's going in the wrong direction. It went from 27 to 19. Everybody following that? So those are just some nuances that I wanted to show to all of you before we keep digging in deep, that we're looking at the full picture. But for the most part, for the rubric the evaluation rubric, we're looking at the combined retention. The only time we would do cohort retention is if they didn't have 3 years of data. Okay, moving on to Gilbert High School. Any questions on Queen Creek? Okay, moving on to Gilbert High School. Campo Verde, I should say Gilbert Unified. The first high school is Campo Verde. So the call out in this program is going to be their bioscience. Nicole is hovering right there, and they have an 80.6% retention rate. That is an amazing retention rate. The area for improvement, I would take you down to film and TV production. And again, you're going to see they're at 24.6, but the concern is look at the direction it's going. They dropped to 8.7 in 2023 in the cohort data. Okay, moving on to Desert Ridge. I'm going to start going a little faster if you guys are all good with this. Okay, Desert Ridge. If you're looking at Desert Ridge High School, this is one I wanted to point out is something that's different. So if you look at the very first one, which is Agri-Science, you will notice a single star, not a double star. The double star notates the end of the sequence. When there's a single star, it's telling you that they're not teaching the complete program. So those students actually can't complete because they don't offer the third course. And that's going to be the same for Agri-Science as well as business operations. They're not offering the 2 and 3. So that could be a coding issue with ADE that it was put in incorrectly, or it could be that they don't offer those. So it's impossible for us to get the completion because they're not offering the complete sequence. Okay, and then a positive one on that, I would like you to look at Stagecraft. They have 64.9% retention, combined retention in Stagecraft. So doing excellent there. Now moving on to Gilbert High. So in Gilbert High School, I have automotive technologies is one that we're looking at for an area of improvement. Auto is one of those that is a 3-course sequence, so it takes 3 years at a satellite to complete if it's not a blocked program. And as you can see, they have a 9.8 combined retention in auto. So that's an area for improvement. A great place that they're doing wonderful at Gilbert High School is the fashion design and merchandising. They have a 38.8 combined retention, and as you can see, both cohort 2022 and 23 are in the 40s. So they're trending in the right direction. So for a quick reference guide, anything in orange is below where we want it to be, everything in green is where we want. Highland High School, Gilbert Unified. I'm looking at my notes here. Okay, cabinet making is the one that I have a positive for. They have a 35.8% combined retention, so they're doing great there. An area of improvement would be the education professions. Now, this is one that I want to show, is it trending in the right direction? Because as you can see, their combined retention is 8.9, but the latest cohort retention for 2023 was 30%. So they're going in the right direction. So be going from 8 up to 30.
Can I,
Yes, go ahead.
so help me understand, can you go to the top of that, Nicole, please? So when you look at Agri-Science 1, then to 2, that's maybe the same reason as Mr. Boyle talked about. That's in a green, but the red is in the red because of what?
It's in the red because that's a completing sequence. So as you can see, the number of students in the combined retention making it to the third sequence, the third course, is drastically lower. So the first course had, in the combined retention in the grand total, Agri-Science 1 had 458, Agri-Science 2 had 559, Agri-Science 3 only had 129.
So of the 458 students that started in Agri-Science 1, only 129 finished the sequence of course.
You would want to go diagonally, so you would start in AY22 at the 146. Can you hover there? Right there, and then you would go diagonally to 199, and then all the way down to 35.
So 146, only 35.
Only 35.
Right. But you were correct. what
It's the
you
same.
said,
Yeah,
in
same
terms
thing.
of the 458 and the 129. Just for everyone, we're looking at 3 years worth of data because things change over the course of the years. Some students may decide they start in their 10th grade year, they don't take something in the 11th grade year, and then they come back in 12th grade year. Doing the 3 years captures that so that we can see everyone. One of the things that we're seeing here, you had asked about how can you have more than 100%. What we hear from some of the schools is that some of these courses are used to complete the science credit. And so they're pushing students to do the science credit, but not to complete the sequence of the program. And clearly that's a problem.
Thanks.
Okay, we're going to go to the next school, Mesquite High School at Gilbert Unified. So sometimes you have a school that's struggling. So Mesquite has a lot of areas for improvement. There is not one program currently at Mesquite that is in the green in the completing program. So now we're moving on to Cave Creek Unified School District. We have Cactus Shadow High School. The positive that I'd like to draw your attention here is to their culinary arts. They have a 30% in their combined retention, but again, that cohort retention for 2023 is on its way up at 41.1%. Then I would like an area of improvement is going to be the finance, and they're at 22.7 at combined retention. However, again, their latest course retention, if we're just looking at the cohort, has improved to 33. So they're going in the correct direction as well. Corona del Sol, Tempe Union High School is next. So Tempe Union District, Corona del Sol. I would like to draw your attention to culinary arts. And I would like you to take a look at that combined retention. There was 384 students in the first course, 62 in the second, which gives them a 16.1 persistence rate. Their latest 2023 rate is 14.2, so that one is actually declining so far year over year. The positive one is going to be film and TV production. Their combined retention is 38.5. The course is going up. As you can see, the individual cohort retention is going in a positive direction. Tempe Union Desert Vista. I'd like you to take a look at business operations. So that one's at 13.8, but look at the numbers. We have 679 students who took one and only 94 who took two. So we lost a lot of students in that for a total of 13.8. A positive would be their public safety. Their law and public safety had 328 students and retained 207 for a 63.1% retention rate. Moving on to Tempe Union Marcos Deniza High School. Every once in a while you get to visit these schools. I get to go around and tour them. And I chose this one purposely. Construction Technologies. It's impressive, I'd go see it. If you can see, they had 173 and they retained 102 for a 59% retention rate. And then you will notice they were at 67.9 and 50%. This is one of those programs that year over year is staying in the 50% range. So that's a great positive for them. The negative would be stagecraft. This is one that is going in the wrong direction. They have a grand total of 45 with only retaining 9 with a 20% combined retention. But as you can see, the 22 cohort retention and 23 cohort retention is steadily declining. Tempe Union, McClintock High School. Construction Technologies, again, 44.2, but the latest cohort retention was 57.9. Graphic design would be an area of improvement. It's at 16.8%. Both cohort retentions on that are higher, so we're hoping that that one will continue to improve. Tempe Union Mountain Point High School. The positive would be business management with a 55.6% retention. Graphic design would be an area of improvement, and they only have 18%. That's one that we had 202 and only 38 came back. Tempe High School and Tempe Union. An area of improvement would be their bioscience. They had 182 who took the first course and only 18 who took the second. When we see this, when we see a drastic change in bioscience, it is sometimes to what Nicole, when we talk to the district, sometimes it's because the science course is counted as their science class, the first one, and then they don't complete the sequence. Marketing is a positive with 49.8% combined retention. So they're doing great there. Now moving on to Chandler Unified School District. So I want to make sure I give kudos where I can give kudos. And I will tell you, if you look at Arizona College Prep as well as Basha High School, you're going to see a lot of green. So at Arizona College Prep High School, one that I wanted to point out is bioscience is a positive, and that they're the 30.6, which we don't often see with bioscience. But the reason I could pick this one as a true positive for this program is you will notice they had 40% and now up to 53.2 when we go to the combined retention. So once they drop that first AY22, when it first opened and they had a 0, you see the 0 on that far side. Even with that 0, they are still above the 30%. Then we go to digital photography. This is an area of improvement at 17.9% retention. Moving on to Basha High School. So it's interesting, I put these back to back. I did a positive just a minute ago about bioscience. Now I'm going to do an area of improvement with bioscience. Understand that these are the same curriculum within the same school district. It's the differences you can see from campus to campus depending on how the scheduling goes, the involvement of, there's lots of factors, the principal, the counselors, the teachers, all of that plays into the picture of where our persistence rates are. So when we're looking at this one, you'll see bioscience as an area of improvement at 18%. But the bigger concern is the last retention rate in 2023 was 11.3. And then a positive here is look at their nursing services, 75%. So they're doing a remarkable job there, and they are above 50% for the last 2 cohorts. Moving on to Chandler High School. Positive is cabinet making at 49.5. Area of improvement is going to be your graphic design at the bottom. You're going to see that it's at 15.9, but again, that latest cohort is at 10.1. So those are some of the things that we're looking at of what can we do to help that program improve. Castile High School. This is a younger school, but we do have 3 years of data. Culinary arts would be an area of improvement at 19.7, but as you can see, the latest 2 cohorts have improved. We're headed in the right direction. But overall, we had 798 and only 157 came back for the completing sequence for the last course. Software and app design is a positive at 31.7, but if you will notice, they had a 50% retention rate in the last cohort. Chandler Unified School District, Hamilton High. Positive is going to be your early childhood at 40.1. They had 279 combined with 112 returning and completing the sequence. An area for improvement is going to be engineering. This is another one of those that you can see here is a 3-course sequence. So you have to complete the 3rd course to complete, and they are at 10.1. We see programs struggle when they have to come back for 3 years. Chandler Unified, Perry High School. We're going to look at engineering again. You're going to see a very similar thing.
0%.
So they're 8.3%. A positive, nursing services. Look at that number. 93.8. So that first year it was offered, they had 30 students and they had 27 of them return. That was remarkable. Okay, moving on to the next school district. We have J.O. Combs. So an area of improvement is going to be the very first one, which is our agri-science. And again, this is a 3-course sequence. Means they have to come back for 3 years. And they are at 14.9%. So that's an area of improvement to see how we can bring that up. So we went from 215 combined retention to 32 students finished the program. Looking at medical assisting services, it's a positive. We have 40.5%, but look at that number in the 2023 cohort, 75% returned. So that is fantastic.
6 of 8.
Scottsdale Unified School District. Okay, so I chose a standout, and it's interesting because ADE always likes to shake it up. So the positive on here is music and audio production. And you can see on music and audio production, they have a 40% combined retention, and the cohort retention is 68 and 52, so it would only be going up. That is on ADE's list of one of the programs that they are phasing out. Then we look at stagecraft, and they have an 18%. They are improving at 39% in 2022, but then dropped down again to 23% in 2023. Chaparral High School. Business operations. It's at 4%. So this is one of those where you see a 0 in AY24. The question is, are we phasing out the program so it's no longer being offered, or did we have nobody return? Lose a teacher? So that one's one that we're watching, and we're kind of concerned about what happened to, how did we get a 0? Because we have a 0 in 2022 and then we have a 0 in 2024. So are we offering the complete sequence or complete program sequence? This one's a concern because we're not sure they're offering the complete program, which makes it impossible for students to complete. A positive one is their finance at 49%. They had 363 combined students with 178 persisting. Coronado High School. So I'd like to draw your attention to the first three courses: business operations, digital communication, and finance. All of them have a single star because the complete program is not being offered, so I can't give you the persistence rate. So that would be an area of improvement. One of the biggest goals would be to see them offer the complete program. And so, again, I want to stress, it's impossible for students to complete the program if we're not offering the complete course sequence. Okay, moving on to Desert Mountain High School. So the first one is going to be my area of improvement, the business operations again. You'll see the same thing as before. I have zeros on either side. I have zeros in 2022 and 2024. So there's question marks of, did we offer the complete sequence or did no one sign up? So those are questions we need to answer. It might be that the first year they offered it was AY 2022. So that's just one we're watching. And then we go to film and TV as a standout, 49%. They had 76 combined with 37 returning. Saguaro High School. Now you're going to see a remarkable difference in some of the ones I just pointed out. Saguaro High School, please look at their bioscience. It's at 90%. Same school district, same curriculum. Graphic design would be an area of improvement.
If we can, one of the reasons, if you notice, there's a block schedule here
Yes.
for the bioscience.
Thank you for pointing that out. So they can complete that in 1 year. An area of improvement is graphic design. I almost forgot to get that, Nicole, so thank you. And they are at 26%. But as you can see, they went up to 28 in 2022, but then dropped down to 20 in 2023. Higley Unified School District. So engineering is a 3-course sequence to complete the program. It is one that tends to struggle, and I want to say kudos to Higley High School in their engineering program, as they have a 38%. They have 38 coming back for that final class. The area of improvement would be in marketing. In marketing, they're at a 17. They had 338 students take the first course and only 57 take the second. Williamsfield and Higley Unified District. The positive again is going to be bioscience. At 69%. Law and public safety is going to be an area of improvement, but even then you will notice it's at 28%. So it's getting there. Mesa Unified School District. The first one is Dobson High School. First one we're going to look at is automotive technologies. This is a 3-course sequence, so you have to come for 3 years, and they are at 6%. But if you look at this one, what I want to draw your attention to is AY23, where you have the set of zeros. This is an example of a program that had to shut because they didn't have the teacher.
Oh, that's right.
So I wanted to kind of throw some of these in so you can see we have to look at the full picture.
Right.
So when we look at this and you see the 6.4, you're taken aback until you really look and see and notice that they could not run the program that year because they didn't have a teacher. A positive would be their culinary arts at 31.9%. And you will notice that the retention went up from 2022 to 2023. I know you guys are getting tired, so I'm going to try to move a little faster for you, okay? Mesa High School, digital photography. This is an area of improvement, 329 on the combined, and only 32 took the second program, the second course in that sequence, for a 9.7% incidence. A positive is going to be their marketing at 37.3%. Mountain View High School. I want to draw your attention to the last graphic design. I think it's towards the bottom. The course had an 18.8%, so it's below that 30% we're looking for. They had 213 and only 40 returned. But what a positive in this that we can find is that the AY23 cohort retention went up to 26%. So it came from 12% up to 26%. So we're hopeful that that one will continue to trend upwards. A positive would be their marketing at 33.4%. Mesa Unified Red Mountain. An area of improvement would be their digital photography. We had 309 students in the combined and only 25 that completed, for an 8.1. And this is one that we're going to want to watch and look to see what we can do to assist, because they're going in the wrong direction. A positive would be welding technology. They have a 54.2% persistence, and if you will know, the 2023 cohort retention is at 57.4%.
Dr. Goulin, if I can hop in with a question, also to give your voice
Yeah.
a rest.
Thank
So you're welcome.
I'm going to take it. We're almost done, though. That's good news.
So you mentioned for, I think, the preceding program, this is one we're going to see how we can assist. And I envision I might be jumping the gun a bit, because we might talk about this for the next agenda item. But what are some of the ways that we or the districts themselves provide some technical assistance for these programs that are struggling with retention for whatever reason?
So I'll give you an example that we, again, Dr. Wilson is adamant that we as a EVIT Central always point the finger inward. So I'll give you an example of something that John Howell and I worked on last year. We had a new construction teacher to us, and their persistence rate is not where we want it to be. It's one of ours that's below that we're working on. And when we talk about working as a CTED, we sent them to Tempe.
Oh, cool.
So we did some professional development where we sent our instructor to Tempe to work with their instructor that I pointed out, that great program, because we're one CTED. And so you will see that there's some that have figured stuff out in certain programs and others that are struggling. So what is that secret sauce? So a lot of that is putting together, letting people go observe a program that is successful and maybe glean some of that understanding of how they're getting there, how they're designing their curriculum, how they're keeping the engagement, and how they're keeping students to return. So that's one way. Another way is Dr. Frimmer has been here, and we are increasing our professional development. We are also offering additional pathways and development PDs for instructors to be able to help them to understand the importance of retention and persistence, and bringing in some others to help on what works and what doesn't work around persistence. So we have a lot of those types of things. I will tell you, some of the districts have shared what they're doing. A great example, I believe it's Gilbert, is when students are coming and enrolling in a CTE program that's a 2-sequence or a 3-sequence course, when they sign up as a sophomore in that course to take the first one, the next year it's automatically on their schedule, the second course. So they don't have to choose it again. And they're letting them know when they sign up, this isn't a 1-year thing, this is a 2-year thing. So the counselors being more engaged. So a lot of the CTE programs out there have already started, once we started talking about this 18 months ago, putting in some different best practices, and then we share those at the CTE meetings of what's working and what's not.
May I interject?
Yes.
I think one of the great things that Doctors Wilson and Doolin have done, we have sat with each one of the districts to talk about the numbers. And so they've gone through, we're doing a quick and fast here in this meeting, but in each of those meetings, we looked at every single program with their administrators. And so it had them thinking, and we were sharing some of the best practices from other districts so that they knew, oh, okay, this is something that's a concern, this is how we're addressing it. It was, I think, when you bring things to light and you let people know that this is not the end, this is a place from which we can work. I think that those meetings were really instructive. They were helpful.
I want to say another thing that we kind of discovered in those meetings too was we started looking at, and we can bring this data back at a later time if you want it, but we started looking at talking to the individual programs, and sometimes when we would see a certain school that was all in an area and struggling, there was
Too many programs.
too many programs for the number of students. So it was hard, so it was having those conversations of, you might be better off getting rid of like programs and choosing one in the tech trades instead of 3 or 4 because you're pulling from yourself. So we have had some of those conversations as well.
Great, thanks.
Okay, we're almost done, I promise. Skyline. Digital photography. I'm going to be quick because I know you're all getting tired. That is going to be my area of improvement. My positive is going to be welding technologies. And their welding is at 34.2. Westwood High School. Area of improvement. Oh, sorry, positive. I have my positive first on this one. Digital communications at 34.5. Area of improvement where I have a concern, you'll see it, is marketing. If you go down and you look at the marketing, it's at 15.3, but if you look at the retention rate for 22 and 23, it went from 15.3 at combined to 2022 at 10.4 and 2023 at 4.7. So that's one that's going in the wrong direction. And I wanted to give you examples of both sides of that coin, where they're going up and when they're also going down. Then that's it for Mesa. And now we're moving to Fountain Hills. And this is the easiest one because they only have one course right now. You'll see that they had business management and culinary arts, but those are no longer being offered. So the only course that is being offered is sports medicine, and they're at 36%. Then finally, on the last page, we have our charter schools. And the charter school we have is American Leadership Academy. The first one is going to be Applied Technologies. And if you know what Applied Technologies is, they take technology, a technology course, CTE course, along with their academics year over year over year. Air transportation is a concern, as well as aircraft mechanics. And the biggest concern, we're watching this, is that they are not offering the complete sequence.
They're new.
They're new, so we're hoping to.
2022.
Right. So we're watching them to make sure, I just wanted to put that so you could see that this following year, we should see a complete sequence. And we're just watching to make sure that they're offering that last course so that we can get completers there. Then at their positive, we're gonna go to law and public safety. And you will see they're at 35%. And if you look right above law and public safety, you'll see hospitality management. That is another one they're not offering the complete sequence. American Leadership Academy, Gilbert North. Take a look at their stagecraft. It's at 39%, but if you look at the cohort retention, it's at 57 and 40, going up. Digital photography is an area of improvement at 16%. And that one seems to be going up and down. American Leadership Academy Ironwood K-12. Positive is going to be their digital photography at 32%. An area of improvement is right below it with their graphic design at 14%. Last but not least, American Leadership Academy Queen Creek. Their positive is stagecraft at 100%. Can't do much better than that. And the area of improvement is going to be their law and public safety at 12%, but then you'll notice the 2022 dropped to 3%. So something happened there, and then it looks like they're starting to recover with the 23 cohort being at 22%. So this is the first set of data points we're bringing you around the evaluations of each of these programs. So as we move forward, we'll give you more information, but just wanted to give you an overview of what you could see here, and feel free to peruse all of them because you have all of that data in your packet, and so it's available for you to see those persistence rates. Any questions?
Dr. Dillon, I have a question.
Yes.
This actually maybe more for the team, and the answer to this may be that we're not ready to answer this yet too. But is this kind of stuff that's going to be built into as we begin to negotiate the IGAs with the districts this next year? Is this what's the kind of stuff that's going to be built into expectations of success?
That's a fair question, Mr. Hobson. I think that before we get to that point, I think it's important that we just set this table for why we're doing what we're doing with this instrument, right? This instrument is designed to help build capacity for us to get better. And certainly those can be components in an IGA to hold us all accountable. But one of the things I don't want folks to think is that this instrument is a, quote, gotcha for some reason. You guys have the responsibility for the quality and the content, and in doing so, there's going to be a lot of work that we need to do that may be part of the IGA, to your point, Mr. Hobson, or may not be, but it's still within your authority to have it as a component of what you expect in order to have us as a CTED do better. So to answer your question, Mr. Hobson, it certainly might be, but it might not be, depending on how the negotiations go, and ultimately depending upon how we want to use this instrument moving forward.
I will.
Thank you. Dr. Wilson, you prefigured my direction. I was maybe a little misleading. I'm hoping that I love data, but I don't think we ought to be prisoners of it. And there will be. My wife used to talk about how, as an elementary school teacher, every once in a while a class would come along, which was just a really difficult class. And she was a devoted teacher, but to have her say that, I'm like, wow. So I just think that sometimes, I think that we ought to be aware that sometimes there are ebbs and flows with respect to education and CTED in particular in all areas, but particularly in the districts. And I just think there ought to be some latitude built into IGAs. We ought not to be so bound by our data. Data is important, and it tells us how we're doing. But sometimes the answer is, let's wait another year or two.
I do want to say, Mr. Hobson, that's why we wanted to make, as we worked with the satellite districts and the other CTED directors, they wanted the 3 years. So for that very point that you are going to have certain classes that drop, just like that one example I showed you, even with the zero, the whole year they had to shut down, they were still able to stay above 30%. Some programs can, some can't. So that's why they wanted the 3 years, because it wasn't just one snapshot in time. So that's going to continue to roll, and we'll continue to do it over the 3 years and keep that combined persistence data instead of just looking at the cohort retention for every year.
Excellent, thank you.
And this is just one of many different data points that we're reviewing. So I hear what you're saying in terms of not letting the numbers skew our perspective. But when we start seeing similar numbers, distressing numbers, in a multiplicity of areas, then that's telling a story, and it's something that needs to be investigated.
And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the next agenda item, because there are some changes in that I think address Mr. Hobson's concerns.
We can move on. 4? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Purpose of program evaluation instrument.
Mr. President, members of the governing board, we started this conversation with some of the questions that were asked in the presentation. And before I do that, I'd like to thank Dr. Dillon and Nicole for the work that you did. I mean, a ton of time. A ton of time and energy. So it's important, I think, that we do acknowledge the purpose of the evaluation tool, though. The evaluation tool isn't a gotcha. It's an instrument that gives us the ability to begin measuring the quality of programming internally and externally. And Dr. Dillon referenced it a couple times, but as an organization, we are big in believing that it's not just us pointing the finger elsewhere, it's pointing inside as well. And you'll see that in the data that gets presented to you at every single time, that we also make sure we're doing the work that we say that we're going to be doing. As Nicole said, and I'll let Dr. Dillon speak to it, this is just one of 5 indicators that will come your way and the presentations that will come your way. And to Mr. Hobson's point, if there are outliers in education, there are tough years in education. But to Nicole's point, if you start having multiple data points over multiple years that paint a success, we need to explore and replicate. Or if it paints a challenge, we need to support and help curb. We brought this evaluation instrument to you for approval, and you did approve it a number of meetings ago. But in the meeting that Dr. Dillon had with the CT directors, there were some tweaks and adjustments made to the instrument. So we are bringing it back to you with those new tweaks and adjustments for your approval. And I'll let Dr. Dillon speak to the tweaks and adjustments, please.
My voice is getting really tired, but I'm happy to be here. So on the evaluation, one of the concerns was the word quality. It was perceived that if you didn't meet the quality indicator, that maybe it made the program or teachers feel like they're not good enough. So we got rid of the word quality evaluation. So it just says EVIT program evaluation, and that was a request by our CTED satellite directors. You will also notice it used to say, I believe it was quality instruction or quality teacher, and now it says industry-related educational effectiveness, because we wanted to get rid of that word quality. So it was just changing some of the language so that it would meet the needs that they were asking. Some of the other things that are highlighted that are a change is probably the biggest one that I wanted to make sure to point out is at the very bottom. One of the requests they had is they were concerned that if they were under in one area that it would mean an improvement plan. So they wanted the previous language left it up to that we could look at the complete picture and sit together and collaborate and say, okay, does this program need an improvement plan? I think the example I would get you is when I started with Queen Creek High, and I told you, even though they had some in orange, there was none of those programs that I would feel would need to be on an improvement plan, because they were either shutting the program down and opening a new one, or they had already made changes and it was already the trajectory was already going in a positive way. There was some concern by the CTED satellites that was not descriptive enough. I think they were a little scared that we were going to be too punitive, so they asked for more clarification. So if you look at the bottom, I'm going to read the language just so we are all clear. It says programs will be assessed at the site level, that means at the high school level, not the district level. If a program fails to meet or exceed expectations in 2 or more areas within a single year, or consistently underperforms in the same area for more than 3 years, it may be placed on an improvement plan. They wanted to make sure it was more than one area in a single year before they'd be put on an improvement plan. We were fine with that. It was never our intention to put them on an improvement plan just from one area, so we were fine with putting that in writing. Because again, we're looking for a pattern, not just a one-off. Programs on an improvement plan will have 2 years to demonstrate significant progress or achieve the required standards. After 2 years, a comprehensive report on the program's improvement will be presented to the EVIT Governing Board. Satellite directors will collaborate with EVIT to develop the improvement plan. I will tell you, many of the CTED directors have already started that collaboration and have already reached out on certain programs that they have concerns about and are talking to us now about, we're thinking of teaching this program out and going in a different direction because we're looking at our own data and year over year this program struggles. Others are looking at making it a block program or doing what I talked about earlier, like Gilbert is doing, and automatically putting those programs on the schedule ahead of time. So all those things are happening. I think they're all positive and moving us in the right direction.
So all the discussion? No questions? Okay, we'll go to number 5, action item. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the updated program evaluation instrument.
I'll second.
First and second. We've heard discussion. Had it. We'll take a question by acclamation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No opposed. No.
David Lane is opposed.
Okay.
Motion carries.
Okay. Going to item 6, regular meeting that we have. Do I have a motion?
I'll
Mr. Chairman,
move.
move the approval of the November 25th minutes.
Yes, sir.
I move the approval of the November 25th minutes.
Got that. Now we need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, there are 2 corrections. It should be November 4th. And on page 3, we have, 1, 2, 3. Let me get to it. Sorry. The motion should be approved. You need to put that on there and add those, make those corrections. I think that's all the corrections we need. So the motion okay with corrections?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We'll take a vote, a question by acclamation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay. We have consent agenda. No. We don't have call the public,
No call of the
do we?
public. No.
Okay.
Not for not a general call to the public.
Not this time. Okay. All right. Consent agenda, A through I. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda A through I.
I'll second.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
I'm gonna be an aye, but there's a $2,500 check in the donations. What is that?
Not million.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. That is a cash donation that was made out to the welding program.
Did that answer your question, Mr. Hobson?
Yes.
Okay.
We ready?
We appreciate it. A question by acclamation, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, do that there,
Call to the public.
there. Okay, we're on to
9.
number 9, personnel. Any, hear a motion? For personnel,
If they want to speak, John.
A and B.
That's not a call. No.
I move to approve.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
We got a first and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll take the vote, the question by acclamation.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, let's go to the next page, turn the pages. Okay,
Yeah, pardon the interruption. Was that motion for 9A and B?
yes.
Yes.
I believe it was A and B.
Oh,
Oh, you just did A?
I think we
Just
just
through
did
day?
A.
Okay.
We'll have a motion
have
for
to
B
do-
then.
Yep.
I move the approval of item 9B.
Second.
Okay, first and second. Question by acclamation?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, now we're on to 10A. Action items, compensation of the completion ceremony venue. Any discussion, Dr. Wilson?
Mr. President, members of the governing board, we talked about this last time, and we talked about, it seemed to be the best choice was to be at Salt River, and that's where we have it held, but I wanted to codify that, and so we brought back an action item for you to identify where you'd like our completion ceremony to be this year.
I think that's a sound mind judgment. Anybody else have a different opinion?
No,
Hearing none, we'll take the question by acclamation.
we need a motion.
You need a motion.
Motion, I
We
believe
need
in
a
the motion.
first.
I'll move that we hold the completion ceremonies at Salt River Fields as presented in the supporting material.
Thank you, David.
I second.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Okay, now we'll have the question by acclamation.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, CTE curriculum improvement, RFP 25005.
Mr. President, members of the governing board, I'm going to have Dr. Doolin speak to the curriculum, and I'm going to have Ms. Perez speak to the next two items, C and D. So Dr. Doolin, if you please take B.
Okay,
I want you to know that I said I don't want to talk anymore, and he said, you're talking again. Okay, so this item is for us to go out we went out to award someone to help us with our curriculum. As you know, we have 43, 44, 45, something like that, programs now, and we have a lot of curriculum work that needs to be done. We have done a lot of work in-house, but we've reached a point where we need to bring in an outside to take us that last step on a couple of courses, as well as training our in-house people how to do it for the rest of our programs. So that is what this is about.
any questions, discussion? Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion on this?
I don't think we have.
I don't think we have, need a motion, please?
I have a question on that, though.
Okay.
It says we're approving an RFP, but it looks like we're actually approving a contract with a specific vendor.
Correct, we've already gone out for the RFP.
Well, why are we voting an RFP then?
You're actually approving the contract of issuing the request for proposal went out. So now it's the final process is for you, for the governing board to approve the actual contract award resulting from that bid proposal.
Okay, it just seems,
Do we have a motion?
all right, I'll move that we approve the CTE curriculum improvement vendor for determined by RFP 25005.
I second.
We'll take the question by acclamation.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay. We have the possible action regarding, that's the wrong one.
C.
C, we gotta go to C.
Yes.
Cosmo Salon. Dr. Wilson submitted that someone else.
I'm going to ask Ms. Perez to speak to both C and D, because even though the numbers are different, I think they're the same in terms of the process.
Okay.
We worked very closely with the deans of each of these programs, and this is basically just bringing to your attention the different price schedule for the services that are being offered through the services. This includes the cosmetology, aesthetics, barbering program, the new nail technician program, and as well for automotive. All the funds that are generated through these services go into each of their programs' enterprise funds.
Okay.
Good. Do we have a
All right, I move to approve the salon price schedule and the automotive price schedule, both C and D.
I second.
Hearing no statements, we'll go for the question acclamation for C.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried.
That's for D and E. Okay, F.
No, we're at E.
We have,
We're at E.
I think we have public.
We're at E.
We're at E.
Yes.
Thank you. Leadership Academy, Mesa North.
Mr.
Satellite Campus.
Mr. President, members of the governing board, you as the CTED body are required to authorize the ability for our partnering districts to have CTE programs on their campuses. ALA has joined our CTED, so now they're adding another one of their campuses to their ability to have CTED programming, just like we do with all of our partnering districts. But you must approve that so that we can reach out to ADE and get them a CTDS number so they can upload their students.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
Have a motion?
I move to approve the new satellite campus at EVIT ALA Mesa North K-12.
I will second that.
No questions? We'll do the,
Information. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carried. Right now, we're
Okay.
at F.
Now we have, I guess we have a
10F.
address to the
10F.
governing board. Brooke Washburn. You'll have 3 minutes to say what you want to say. We cannot respond to you at all, and we can't answer any questions for you at this time.
And just to clarify, this is for agenda item
10F.
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 Okay.
Yes.
And thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Brooke Washburn, and I'm a second-year nursing assistant student here at EVIT. I love nursing, and I'm looking forward to continuing serving my community. My teacher, Miss Alma Chappell, has helped fuel my passion for nursing this year. Miss Chappell is the teacher that every student needs. She is a strong, passionate, supportive, caring, strict, yet compassionate, and really gave her heart, 100% of it, to her students. She has established a relationship and trust with every one of her students, learning about them and ways that she can help them succeed. As someone who is ADD and learns differently than everyone else, she would always check in on me and make sure that I understood the curriculum she was teaching, and always knew when my medication was wearing off, and always handled it with showing patience and understanding rather than frustration and anger. She was always the teacher that I could count on when I had a bad day, to always support me and be there for me. I know many classmates who unfortunately could not be here today because of prior commitment would say the same. We have all provided statements on behalf of Ms. Chappell to Ms. Doolin. Recently, we were targeted by another student for bullying. We informed Ms. Chappell about the situation, and after seeing it herself, she had decided that she wanted to talk to the student in a professional manner. Unfortunately, those events have brought us to today, but as students, we feel that she has made us feel validated, loved, and protected. While my hope was that EVIT would seek a resolution that would bring our teacher back and finish out the year, I am realizing that circumstances, whether they be political, personal, or otherwise, may not allow to happen. If Ms. Chappell leaves EVIT, they will be losing a teacher who embodied the EVIT mission statement by changing their lives and by loving the students, including me, and serving the community and providing a qualified workforce. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That was really well stated, Brooke. Very well.
Very well. Yes. Okay. I turned some pages here, sorry.
Dr. Wilson?
Mr. President, members of the governing board, item F is presentation of statement of charges against Alma Chappell. I'd like to remind you the responsibility tonight. Certified teachers have a due process right, and that due process right first requires the superintendent to present a statement of charges. You as a governing board tonight aren't determining whether Ms. Chappell stays or leaves. You're not determining whether what we're saying is true or untrue. What you're charged tonight is to determine that if what is presented were to be true, were to found to be true, would that be grounds for termination? And I say that because sometimes when we go through processes like this, we try to take that next step and try to determine whether it's factual or not factual, whether it did or it didn't, whether he or she should be here or not be here. That is part of the due process, but that's not tonight's part of the due process. Tonight's part of the due process is based on the information provided. If it's found to be true, would that be grounds for termination? If the answer is yes, then we move forward. If the answer is no, then the process is concluded. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. I've said things like, you know, as a superintendent, there are times in which I really, really enjoy my job, and there's times in which I really don't like my job. And unfortunately, tonight is one of those nights in which I'm not a big fan of my job. But I am going to read to you the statement of charges, and I'm going to read to you the entirety of them, because I think it's important that we have the information out in the public. Not for any other reason than I think sometimes folks don't get a whole of the story, or at least a portion of the story, and I think it's important that they do. So bear with me as I read through you quite a few pages of information. Statement of charges. As prescribed in ARS 15-539, the superintendent presents the statement of charges to the governing board of the East Valley Institute of Technology at its December 16th, 2024 board meeting. The superintendent charges that the conduct described below constitutes violation of Alma Chapel's employment contract, governing board policies and regulations, insubordination, and unprofessional conduct, and warrants termination of Ms. Chapel's employment with the East Valley Institute of Technology. Factual allegations. Bullying training. At the beginning of the 2024-2025 school year, all teachers attended mandatory training that included training on bullying. That training included where to find the district's bullying policy, board policy, chapter 7. The presentation included that if an employee suspected bullying, they are required to report that to central administration, superintendent, chief academic officer, chief financial officer, chief operations officer, director of legal services, and or the public information officer. Then a dean or student conduct and support coordinator would investigate the allegations and report to the victim. The process for addressing bullying is set forth in board policy, the student catalog, and faculty resource and operation guide. Ms. Chappell's concerns about Dean Lawrence. Ms. Chappell's dean, Audrey Lawrence, scheduled 2 meetings with Ms. Chappell the week of November 11th, 2024. Ms. Chappell declined both meetings. She claimed she was too sick to meet, but she reported to work that week and did not request any sick leave. On or about November 15th, 2024, Ms. Chappell had sent this text message with the Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Rhonda Doolin, the CAO, after declining to meet with Dean Lawrence. Ms. Chappell, I've talked to Lawrence about how I feel and emailed, always with a solution. She has asked me twice this week to meet with her. I have not been feeling well and frankly don't trust her. Am I allowed to decline a meeting with her until I feel better? She knows I'm sick and keeps bothering me. I already declined her first invitation because I'm sick, but no fever, so I came to work. The Chief Academic Officer, you will need to eventually meet with her. Schedule it for Monday. It should occur before we meet. Ms. Chappell, oh, absolutely, but not when I'm sick. The Chief Academic Officer scheduled a meeting with Ms. Chappell on November 19th to discuss her concerns about Dean Lawrence. On November 17th, 2024, Ms. Chappell informed the CAO that she was planning on taking off November 18th and possibly November 19th, and therefore would not be able to meet with Dean Lawrence before their scheduled November 19th meeting. Ms. Chappell used a sick day on November 18th and took unpaid leave on November 19th. The Chief Academic Officer rescheduled the November 19th meeting for November 20th, 2024. The following text message exchange occurred. Ms. Chappell, okay, thanks, but really I hesitate because no one else is talking, and so it sounds like it's only my opinion. I would rather leave in peace. Chief Academic Officer, it's just you and I, not understanding what you mean when you say leave in peace. Are you leaving? I'm confused. Ms. Chappell, resign. I'm going to pray about it and won't blindside you. I will make sure I stay until a permanent person is hired. I have taught the students the bulk of what they need to succeed. No worries. Chief Academic Officer, no, I have worries. In your previous text, you said you were hoping to retire from EVIT. What changed? I would still like to meet with you even if you decide to resign. We can't get better if we don't listen. Ms. Chappell, you're amazing. Just some important things. EVIT is by far a better institution than most, especially with you and Chad. CAO, Alma, I'm not understanding. If you are leaving for personal reasons, I get it. I was under the impression you wanted to meet to resolve the issues and potentially improve how we are doing things. Ms. Chappell, it's not personal reasons, although my old job has wanted me back since I left, LOL. It's because I don't want to keep working frustrated, and Lawrence is very frustrating. It's not like she's a bad person. She just takes experience and training. She just lacks experience and training in the medical field. Okay, we'll meet with you Wednesday and see if any of my input helps. Chief Academic Officer. My professional opinion, just getting frustrated and complaining about things with people who can't fix it or change it is nothing more than gossip. This will lead to further frustration and unhappiness as nothing can improve. Ms. Chappell, 100%. That's why I believe talking to the person direct, but can't fix a problem a person won't even acknowledge. As you know, I always have suggestions. Don't believe focusing on problems without working hard for a viable solution. Anyway, we can talk later. I just don't want to talk to you if I felt it was just going to make the problems worse, since Lawrence won't acknowledge the problem. Chief Academic Officer. That's why there's a chain of command. If you feel the same way after talking to me, you should talk with Dr. Wilson. Sometimes it is a problem too big for your direct supervisor, and that's okay. Sometimes it's bigger than me, and Dr. Wilson has to make the decision. That's not unusual. Ms. Chappell, okay. In the past, Ms. Chappell, Ms. Lawrence, hasn't followed the chain of command and bypassed me as a teacher. I'm sure it worked against me, since she knew the student before EVIT and took their word over mine until it backfired and the parent went rogue. That's one problem that hopefully has been resolved. To refer student and parent back to me, especially the ones she has known on a personal level. Ms. Chappell did not meet with the Chief Academic Officer on November 20th, 2024. The alleged bullying incident. On the afternoon of November 21st, 2024, 4 students from Ms. Mulhern's class were seated together and working in the hallway. Ms. Chappell believed that these students were bullying her students on the way to and from the restroom. Ms. Chappell had one of her students walk to the restroom to see if the students in the hallway would bully her. That student reported to Ms. Chappell that the students were still in the hallway and looked at her when she passed. At about 1:15 that day, Ms. Chappell decided to confront Ms. Mulhern's students. Ms. Chappell had her entire class follow her into the hallway so they could observe her confront Ms. Mulhern's students. Ms. Chappell walked into Ms. Mulhern's classroom and told Ms. Mulhern that her students were bullying students on the way to and from the bathroom. Before Ms. Mulhern could react, Ms. Chappell left the classroom and Ms. Mulhern followed. In the hallway, Ms. Mulhern asked her students, "What's going on out here?" Her students started talking at the same time, and before Ms. Mulhern could get another word out, Ms. Chappell was standing next to her. Ms. Chappell immediately addressed Ms. Mulhern's students. "You all need to stop." One of the students asked, "Are you speaking to me?" Ms. Chappell responded, "No, you're fine," then pointed to another student and said, "You are the worst," which caused the student to cry. Ms. Chappell left, and Ms. Mulhern and her students write down what had happened in the hall. At the end of the day, Ms. Mulhern walked her students to the parking lot to avoid any further incident. After class ended, Ms. Mulhern went to Ms. Chappell's classroom to get clarification on why Ms. Chappell accused her students of bullying. Ms. Mulhern asked, "What's going on?" Ms. Chappell responded, "Those kids need to have some discipline." Ms. Mulhern responded, "You realize there are always 2 sides to every story." Ms. Chappell replied, "I don't believe so," and gave examples related to her ex-husbands. Ms. Chappell's Dean Lawrence, and a student conduct and support coordinator interviewed Ms. Chappell regarding the alleged bullying incident. In the interview, Ms. Chappell told them that Ms. Mulhern's students had been bullying her students for weeks, referred to Ms. Mulhern's students as trolls under the bridge, and claimed that they were posturing, snickering, and saying slurs and bothering them on the way to and from the restroom. Claimed that this had been going on in the parking lot for weeks, and that one of Ms. Mulhern's students said she wanted to fight one of Ms. Chappell's students. Said she told her students they could not do anything about it, but she could because she was a person in authority. Said she decided to bring her entire class into the hall while she confronted the student from Ms. Mulhern's class. Stated that she viewed this as a learning opportunity. Said she went to Ms. Mulhern's class, and Ms. Mulhern left the classroom to speak to the students in the hall. They were all acting innocent, so Ms. Chappell decided to confront them herself. admitted coming on strong to Miss Mulhorn's students, telling them, "You guys are all doing it. You guys don't get to bully my kids." Stated, "This generation can't handle hard things, and my generation needs to teach them how to do the hard things." When asked how Miss Mulhorn's students reacted, she claimed they talked back. When asked what she meant by that, she said they denied bullying. When asked to explain what bullying is, she said repetitive targeting. She said she believed it should be investigated. Ms. Chappell acknowledged that she could have contacted a student conduct and support coordinator, but believed it was important for her students to see her confront Ms. Mulhorn's students as part of a teachable moment. Said she had managed the incident appropriately and would handle the situation the same way if it happened again, and stated that she believed the situation would have persisted had she not intervened in the manner that she did. Prior to Ms. Chappell confronting Ms. Mulhorn's students in the hallway on November 21st, 2024, none of her students had submitted a complaint of bullying or harassment to a student conduct and support coordinator or to any other staff. Ms. Chappell's allegations of bullying were not confirmed by the alleged victims. Ms. Chappell does not know if the students she confronted were actually bullying, as evidenced by the voice message she left for Dean Schwartz. "Hi, Jen. It's me, Alma. You might be getting an email from a parent who probably got half the truth from their student. Anyway, I had to reprimand one of Miss Mulhorn's students for allegedly being a bully. I did come off a little bit like a mama bear. I mean, you can watch the cameras. Anyway, apparently it has been going on for months, and I wasn't even aware of it until today. So I wanted to nip it in the bud when I first heard about it. So I don't know the whole truth, like if there's anyone in my classroom that I have to hold accountable, but please let me know. I was merely trying to create a safe place for my children who are stating that they don't feel safe going to the bathroom, that they were being bullied by Miss Mulhorn's students who were in the hallway. So I apologize, and I'm willing to talk to the parent and let them know that we're trying to find out who is really doing the bullying, and we want to create a safe place for all students. So let me know if you need to talk to me, okay? Thanks. Bye." The students that Ms. Chappell claimed were being bullied by Ms. Mulhorn's students were interviewed. Student A stated that Ms. Mulhorn's students sometimes looked at her or whispered when she passed, but she could not hear what they said. She never heard her name or comments directed toward her. She had never been confronted, but Ms. Chappell told the class that these students needed to be, quote, put in their place, and, quote, she was not having it. Student B reported that one of Ms. Mulhorn's students was annoying but never bullied her. Student C reported that Ms. Mulhorn's students would be silent, giggling, or stare, but never said anything to her or bullied her. Student D stated that Ms. Mulhorn's students sometimes look at her when she goes to the bathroom, but they never said anything to her. Student E stated that she never felt intimidated or bullied by Ms. Mulhorn's students. The conduct described by Ms. Chappell's students does not constitute bullying under board policy. Ms. Mulhorn's students in the hallway also had written statements. Student F stated that Ms. Chappell yelled, "Fix your attitude and stop bullying my kids." Student F denied bullying. Student G stated the students had been in the hallway all year long without incident. She felt threatened by Ms. Chappell and reported the incident to her mother. Student H confirmed that sometimes they giggled, were silent, or looked at passing students but denied bullying. Student I confirmed that sometimes when a student walked by, they would whisper to keep their conversation private. Ms. Chappell's conduct precipitated complaints from 5 parents. Parent 1, the parent of a student in Ms. Mulhorn's class, was told that Ms. Chappell went into Ms. Bray's class, a substitute teacher was in that day for Ms. Bray, and asked if any of the students had been bullied by Ms. Mulhorn's students. Ms. Chappell, when referring to Ms. Mulhorn's students, reportedly said, quote, "The girls are babies and can't handle discipline." She then told the class, quote, "If this gets out, I'm going to blame you guys." This parent's concern are that her daughter was slandered, that Ms. Chappell made accusations without evidence, and that any discipline of the student should have been made confidential matter rather than a public spectacle. Parent 2, the parent of one of Ms. Mulhorn's students reports that Ms. Chappell aggressively accused her daughter of bullying, leaving her daughter shaken and upset. His understanding is that that this happened publicly rather than confidentially. His greatest concern is that Ms. Mulhern's students denied the allegation of bullying. Ms. Chappell went into Ms. Bray's classroom and tried to solicit other accusations of bullying against Ms. Mulhern's students. According to his daughter, Ms. Chappell said Ms. Mulhern's students are, quote, liars and babies who can't take discipline. Parent 3, the parent of one of Ms. Mulhern's students who reports that her daughter came home in tears after Ms. Chappell yelled at her. The daughter reported that Ms. Chappell was loud, aggressive, and accusatory, waving her hands and pointed her finger in the face of the students. The parents' concerns are that Ms. Chappell acted unprofessionally, publicly humiliated students, and in violation of the district's policy, sexual violence, student violence, harassment, intimidation, and bullying because she acted without any investigation or evidence. Parent 4, the parent of one of Ms. Mulhern's students stated that Ms. Chappell verbally assaulted her daughter and later continued to spread vitriol and verbal character assassination by going into another classroom and repeating the allegations. Parent 5, the parent of one of Ms. Mulhern's students stated that while her daughter was studying for a quiz in the hallway with other students, a staff member approached them in a very aggressive way, which, quote, shook her daughter to the core, exasperating her anxiety condition. Security camera footage is consistent with the witness statements. Ms. Chappell's insubordination. On November 24th, 2024, the Chief Academic Officer sent an invitation to Ms. Chappell to meet the next day at 2:30 p.m. The next day at 8:50 a.m., November 25th, 2024, Ms. Chappell declined the meeting investigation. On November 25, 2024, at 10:11 a.m., Ms. Chappell sent the following email to the Chief Academic Officer. Good morning, Rhonda. I need to decline your invitation for today's meeting. I decided it's not a problem I want to deal with officially. I merely wanted your professional opinion. The difficulty I'm having is since no one else is coming forward with their frustrations, then I don't want to come off as sounding like it's only my opinion. I just encourage EVIT moving forward to consider leadership candidates to be over programs they have firsthand knowledge of. If you find someone with the leadership skills EVIT is looking for, but that person has little or no understanding in the areas they will be overseeing, then they should benefit in learning about these specialties. That would help them provide better support for their students, their staff, and the program, as well as how to navigate the healthcare system. For example, I have lots of experience in nursing. I have some experience in teaching. I have taught patients and their families, nursing students seeking BSN at church and community events. I've trained medical assistants in the public school system and training RNs and MAs, more than 50, in the area of internal medicine. I came to EVIT with some knowledge of teaching. Last year, 100% of my students that made it to clinicals and took the CNA exam passed and became certified. Those are really good results for my first attempt. I did have to make some adjustments to my class management this year since I have a lot more students to teach. I also suggest that someone in leadership capacity be at the Power Campus every day so that they know the staff and the students they are supporting. I have decided to end my career at EVIT earlier than I had hoped. My retirement comes up in November of 2026, so we still have time. I just don't know how to navigate that to meet EVIT's needs and my personal goals on top of receiving my bonuses for all the work I put into teaching the students out at Power this year. I am now excited about other opportunities in my field. I have loved working with Ms. Bray and value her experience and judgment. It's not easy being in the trenches for over 15 years. I also believe in EVIT's mission and creating an amazing workforce. The community is blessed by the opportunities that EVIT offers both high school and adult students. You are the best educational system I have worked for. I believe it's because of the culture you are working hard to create and to achieve. Yes, there are some kinks that need to be worked out, but EVIT is still great. Thank you for the opportunity to work here. The Chief Academic Officer responded, good morning. I hope the day is going well, and I appreciate you reaching out. However, I'm no longer asking for us to meet, but requiring it. In the email you sent today, I believe there are still items that need to be cleared up and addressed. I do recognize that the concerns you have raised regarding your supervisor in previous text and email conversations, and I would like the opportunity to propose a solution, as I believe I have one. The Chief Academic Officer had a solution to Ms. Chappell's concerns about Dean Lawrence. The Chief Academic Officer is going to have Ms. Chappell report directly to her. Later that day, Ms. Chappell sent the following email to the Chief Academic Officer. "Okay, I will do it for you, Ms. Doolin. Not for me, though, because my decision is already made. I will be leaving EVIT whenever you ask me to. I can leave now, but that wouldn't be helpful to the students. I can choose not to renew my contract, but then don't finish my state retirement. Last option I personally see is staying until the end of my contract and coming back next year until December. Any way that works for EVIT. The situations that have transpired since returning to public school system have helped me identify where I want to further my education. I'm not perfect, don't know everything, but I have a curious mind and always strive for growth and high standards of practice. I strive to inspire the same in my students and look forward to the comments they make at the end of the academic year. Like I said, I have loved working at EVIT and love and support the upper management have." On November 25th, 2024, Ms. Chappell sent the following text to Dean Lawrence. "Dear Audrey, I want to thank you for having Student Conduct and Support Coordinator investigate the incident that happened on Thursday when I addressed the MA's behavior with their teacher present. I know it's difficult to get to the truth when parents complain. There tends to be a tendency to focus on the teacher behavior instead of addressing the students. That teacher should never have allowed students alone in the hallway on a consistent basis and without supervision. My students were affected more than they told the leaders yesterday. To quote one of my students, quote, 'We don't want to snitch and have them continue to treat us poorly outside the classroom.' I know you may not agree with my approach in the classroom management nor my discipline, but I can assure you that I know how to address a student's behavior because I was too nice last year. I'm working hard to avoid behaviors that I saw in second semester last year. I'm not doing anything unethical, immoral, or illegal. Preparing students for healthcare professions is different than others because we are dealing with creating a safe workforce who will literally be involved in keeping people alive. There are times we can sugarcoat things, and there are times we need to send a clear and firm message. Last semester, I had a 100% pass rate for EVIT on the CNA exam for students who made it to the clinicals. A lot of them are now employed by Banner. One of them has already had 2 raises in the last 3 months. I don't know if other teachers have achieved the same. I do know Bray is very supportive of me because she didn't have 100% last year and also works with me and has frequent interactions with me, that she has an idea of what my character is, which I am firm with students, but I truly love them, even the ones that misbehave. What I mentioned to Carol, Miss Mulhorn yesterday morning, that I had a plan to help with her class in mind, it was to invite them for a friendship giving. I believe in dealing firm with them, following up with the kindness and acceptance. Some are receptive of that approach and some are not, so perhaps not an effective approach. Moving forward, please separate what students' parents are, quote, reporting to you versus what is really happening. I know that communication with parents can get very sensitive since there is a need to validate them. I have found students don't always accept a different approach than what they get from their parents at home. I will continue to work on helping students succeed and look forward to you seeing the results in my classroom at the end of the year. The Chief Academic Officer and a staff person from Human Resource met with Ms. Chappell on November 25th, 2024 to discuss the issues with Dean Lawrence. Ms. Chappell began by trying to deflect from her conduct by being critical of Dean Lawrence and lack of behavioral health experience. When Dr. Doolin tried to explain the dean's role, Ms. Chappell became argumentative. Ms. Chappell also complained about how the dean handled a parent who contacted the dean directly. Ms. Chappell turned the conversation to the bullying incident. Dr. Doolin told Ms. Chappell that she should have called the Student Conduct and Support Coordinator on duty, but Ms. Chappell argued that she felt she had to protect her students from bullying and that she would do what she did to protect her students from bullying. She said it was a teachable moment and would do it again. She would not change anything she did. Afterward, the Chief Academic Officer emailed Ms. Chappell. Thank you for your time today following our meeting. I took the opportunity to talk to Dr. Wilson about the situation. Based on our conversation and his understanding, Dr. Wilson is assigning you to work from home with pay pending the outcome of a complete investigation. Please note, during this time, you are expected to be available for calls, emails, and meeting as needed. You will not be expected to conduct your normal classroom teaching assignment, but should complete unfinished grading. Alma, you are a valuable member of our organization, and I look forward to a positive resolution. If you have questions, please feel free to contact me or Dr. Wilson. Ms. Chappell responded, I was not initially pleased with how the investigation is focused around my behavior instead of how the 4 students in question were affecting mine and other classes. I do understand that because people can distort the truth, you have to suspend me until after the investigation is over. Perhaps if I had more situations like this come up, it would have been in my mindset to reach out to John or Ken, whoever was present last Thursday. They are amazing in how they handle situations with students. I can assure you that the MA students were not just affecting my students. Because of the current situation, I've decided it is best for me to move on now earlier than planned. I will wait until the investigation is over because I do wish to clear my name and want the students heard in my PM class and Braze also. I believe in what EVIT is trying to accomplish in preparing our youth for future careers. I hold no malice. It's so hard knowing who is speaking the truth in a world that is raising the next generation to ignore accountability and to blame their reaction to a situation on another person. Unless there is someone truly intentionally causing abuse, no one needs to be accused of possibly causing someone else to take their life, as it was implied to me. I do believe that hard things happen, and it is my responsibility to be responsible for my side of the interaction that I had with the 4 students that sat at the hallway, unsupervised, left to bother those that came in contact with them. My solution to the interaction with those students, I apprehended was to talk to the students and help them process their emotions, then offer their class a friendship giving. I do believe that everything we experience in life is an invitation to be bitter or to be better. I choose to be better. I resign effective January 17th. That gives me time to finish the skills I'm teaching my students and finish helping them hone in on their testing skills. I appreciate the time I have been with EVIT and admire our leaders and love our students. That evening, Ms. Chappell emailed Ms. Bray. It makes me sad that I won't be there tomorrow in my PM class for their Friendsgiving. AM already had theirs. I love all the students and wish I could be there to celebrate with them. Okay, Bray, please be there to celebrate with my students. They are bringing enough food to share with your class. My intention was to use the opportunity to teach them the feed, intake, output skills. It is so sad I won't be there, but they will understand. Students process emotion as guided by their parents and their teachers. I strongly believe we can make a difference in their lives as we teach them the hard and soft skills of their future vocation. Please have them go over the week's PowerPoint for tomorrow's quiz. A lot of the students already finished their ambulating a patient skill in my AM class, so the rest need to pass that off. The PM has been instructed on how to do it, so please have them pass off that skill as well. I will finish the other skill when I return. I resigned and set the date for January 17th. I'm sure it won't take that long for the investigation, and I will return to finish the skills and help them hone in on their testing skills to prepare them for midterms. I'm just a phone call away. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions related to their plans. The following morning, the Chief Academic Officer emailed Ms. Chappell. Thank you for meeting with us yesterday. I understand the situation is challenging and I appreciate your cooperation. I want to clarify that I'm not conducting an investigation into the purported bullying incident involving student to student, as Kim Peterson has already completed this investigation and, I believe, shared the findings with you. You have been assigned to work from home to allow for an investigation into how you manage the student-to-student situation after it was brought to your attention. It's important to note that there are potentially 2 separate incidents involving bullying and harassment. The first incident involved multiple medical assisting students and nursing assistant students, while the second involved a teacher in a position of authority who allegedly confronted and harassed the students regarding their conduct and invited other students to observe. Ms. Chappell responded to the Chief Academic Officer, "You blindsided me yesterday as if I had a proposed solution to a problem I was having and you had a solution. That's why I met with you. Then at the end of the meeting, I was the one in trouble. I do not appreciate that, I do not appreciate that approach, and it did not make me feel valued for all the work and effort at EVIT. But it is my job to process what happened. I can see your point of view. My actions were simply to send a strong message that those behaviors needed to stop. So many behaviors from students are overlooked and then blamed on the teachers. I support what you have to do as an administrator. I will be very pleased to see what you find out. No child gets to harass another child, and if you feel my action was too strong, I get it. There is no protocol in place for situations or for concerns and bullying by other students. I know we are suggested that we follow up with Ken and John, but since no one is on campus every single day, it is difficult to remember we don't have to take matters into our own hands. That's why I suggested we have one person always present at the Power Campus who knows students and staff. You are very aware that as nurses, it is common practice to not pass the buck. That student in question can make all the claims she wants and as can her parents. Where do you think her ineffective skills come from in dealing with strong emotions? She hasn't learned yet. Doesn't mean she can't, and doesn't mean that the next time she is stopped for doing bad behavior at work or behavior or whatever, she is going to be able to deflect her actions and blame someone who is holding her accountable. I'm not saying I was right. I'm saying how the student and parent process something is up to them, and my part is to clarify my intentions and be responsible for my part of the misunderstanding, which I'm willing to do. That afternoon, the Chief Academic Officer sent the following information to Ms. Chappell. I'm sorry to hear that you feel blindsided. That was not my intention. I was not planning on discussing the alleged bullying situation the day of my visit, but you wanted to let me know what I would need to know. At that time, you expressed the desire to make your side of the situation heard, and I assured you it would be. You then began telling your side of the story. My questioning resulted from the information you shared as you were telling me what you perceived occurred. Given the information you shared with me, I felt I had the responsibility to remove you from the environment until a full investigation could be conducted. Kevin Kelbel, who will be leading the investigation and reviewing all the documentation and statements from those involved. I would encourage you to share that documentation. I would encourage you to share your documentation with what occurred directly with him. I would like to take the opportunity to address some of the issues you mentioned in your last email. Please see the items listed below. 1, you have stated the following, quote, I know we are suggested that we follow up with Ken and John, but since no one is on campus every single day, it is difficult to remember we don't have to take matters into our own hands. That's why I suggested we have one person always present at the Power Campus who knows students and staff, end of quote. First of all, this is not a suggestion but policy. EVIT board policy under reporting incidents of bullying states the following. A student who is being bullied or believes another student is being bullied should report that bullying to the dean of students, to the dean or other employees. An employee who becomes aware of or suspects a student is being bullied shall immediately notify central administration and make a report in writing. 2, the other issue you raised in your statement above is that no one is on campus every single day. This is not true. We have multiple administrators on each campus every day. Both campuses are treated equally the same, with deans and student success coordinators rotating between campuses. If you're referring to the district personnel not being on campus every day, you are correct, as district personnel are located only at the district office and do not handle the day-to-day administrative coverage on either campuses. I find it disingenuous to infer that the Power Campus does not have administrative coverage daily. I'd be happy to send the calendar of coverage for both campuses as it is designed. We have administrators, security, counseling, and instructional specialists coverage on each campus each day, with the only exception being Wednesdays when the deans and counselors meet for team meetings. During that time, all instructional specialists, as well as Dr. Frimmer, meet at the other Power campus before, therefore making sure administrative coverage is available on both campuses. On December 3rd, 2024 at 10:34 a.m., the Chief Academic Officer sent an email to Ms. Chappell. Alma, the investigation has been concluded, and we would like to meet with you today at 2 p.m. on the main campus. I sent you a calendar invite. A few minutes later, the Director of Human Resource left a message for Ms. Chappell informing her that she needed to attend a meeting that day with the Chief Academic Officer, the Director of Legal, and the Director of Legal Services at 2 p.m. in the district office. About 2 hours later, the Director left the following message for Ms. Chappell. Your attendance is required today at 2 for a meeting with the Chief Academic Officer and Director of Legal Services to review the investigation with you. Dr. Wilson will also be the next step in the process, so he will not be in this meeting. I can attend the meeting as well. Again, the expectation is you are attending that you attend this meeting. Ms. Chappell responded, I don't feel safe attending the meeting, and therefore give my resignation as of right now. I will not be forced to meet with Dr. Doolin again. She is very well known for seeing things at the surface level and is unsupportive of me. EVIT has not protected staff nor students against bullying. A few minutes later, the Chief Academic Officer sent the following email to Ms. Chappell. Good afternoon. Dr. Wilson forwarded the most recent communication and contained your resignation effective immediately. Before accepting your resignation, we would like to ask you to update your student grades. Leaving without the updated grades is unfair to students and parents. I know how much you value your students and the education you provide them, and having their grades reflect the work done with you is in their best interest. Please take the rest of this week to update your grades and submit your resignation effective Friday, December 6th. Ms. Chappell responded, and the fact that you feel you have to ask me to do that is sad. It is not in my character to leave things undone. I am simply protecting myself since no one else is. The Chief Academic Officer responded, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing the grades updated in Canvas. Ms. Chappell never did post the grades in Canvas. Later on December 3rd at 3:12 p.m., Ms. Chappell informed Dean Lawrence that she had a doctor's appointment the following morning. About an hour and a half later, she texted the following to Dean Lawrence. I even told HR they didn't have to accept my resignation. I am simply trying to protect myself. I will never again meet with Rhonda without having someone in my court. She's always been known to only see at the surface level. I've known her since 2004. I never wanted to resign. I wanted to be able to retire when Bray did. My health is also suffering. I've lost 7 pounds and need to see a cardiologist because of all the stress. Anyway, don't worry. Just have them give me to the end of the week. But really, I would stay through the whole rest of the school year if you asked me to. I can do hard things. I just don't deal with half-truths and lies like have been happening this semester. Not your fault. You don't know my character. Anyway, I will do great. I have found that schools are governed so much on what students and parents say and not staff. The real world in healthcare is not like that. The evidence speaks through investigators. Dean Lawrence responded, I thought that's what the meeting with you and Rhonda were having was all about, so you could speak to her and she could speak about it. Ms. Chappell replied, oh, it probably was, but I was not going to meet with her without someone in my court. She blindsided me last time. She lured me to meet with her under false pretense. Anyway, I don't believe this had to happen, but God will help me use this for great things to happen. At the end of this text exchange, the only action the administration had taken was to assign her to home with pay pending the outcome of the investigation. No discipline had yet been imposed and none had been suggested to Ms. Chappell. She had not even been informed of the results of the investigation. The contemplated discipline at this time was a short-term suspension without pay. On December 5th, 2024, Ms. Chappell sent the following email to Dean Lawrence. Hello, just checking to see if you all decided to accept my resignation. I decided that it's not in my students' best interest for me to resign without there being a permanent sub for lectures, clinicals. I take my responsibility to the students seriously and want only the best for them. Let me know what Ms. Lawrence thinks is best. My intention was to retire several years down the road. That's why I left my high-paid job. Like I mentioned on the phone on Tuesday, it's been very difficult this semester for many reasons, and it's affecting my health. But I can work past that to finish what I started with the students. I haven't been feeling well these last couple of days, but have been working on grading. I still have to finish my PM class and get some paperwork ready for them to start clinicals next semester. No rush, just let me know what you decide. On December 5th, 2024, at 5:11 p.m., Ms. Bray sent an email to Ms. Chappell. I've sent you a few texts and haven't heard back. Hope everything's okay. Wanted to get your students set up in clinicals. Can you send me your lists and go get my lists and get me your files so we can put them into my clinical exchange and see where they're missing for clinicals? I can come meet you somewhere. Also wanted to see where their skill sheets are. I think you said you have them. I'm trying to get them done this week, and next week we are working on the study guide. Please call or text me. Dean Lawrence then forwarded Ms. Chappell's December 5th email to the Chief Academic Officer, who responded to Ms. Chappell on December 9th, 2024 at 10:24. Good morning. Ms. Lawrence has forwarded your email dated December 5th to me. I've included it in the below for reference. At this time, I have not received a valid resignation from you. Based on the latest communication, it appears you have decided that it is not in the best interest of your students to resign. Given this, I believe we have two options for you to consider. Option one, if you wish to continue working at EVIT, you will need to schedule a meeting with myself and Mr. Kelbo to review the details of the ongoing investigation. You're welcome to have HR, another staff member, personal support person, personal friend, additionally a family member if you choose to in attendance. Option two, if you prefer to submit your resignation, it will need to be effective no later than December 16th, 2024. Should you choose this option, please return your computer, keys, badge, student files, and any other EVIT property to the main campus and leave them with HR. Please let me know how you would like to proceed. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Again, at that time, the intended discipline was still a short-term suspension. Ms. Chappell responded 10 minutes later, but did not directly respond to the Chief Academic Officer's inquiry. She suggested an alternative option and confirmed that she is still leaving, but did not offer her resignation. I will return to EVIT temporarily to help the students. I am putting my needs to the side. I am still leaving, but Bray's been feeling a big weight on her shoulders, and the students are needing to finish up strong. I can meet with whomever needs to meet with me. I have never needed anyone to agree with my knee-jerk reaction of protecting my students. I did need to feel heard and supported. My situation was a tiny part of a bigger picture. I can stay until you hire a permanent replacement. I have been asking for help with bullying, with the bullying situation at Power since October of this semester. It is connected to my current situation. We could greatly benefit from a full-time principal-type position who knows the staff, the students, the parents. That is hard to accomplish without being here every day. My health has taken a toll with all this stress. I have been ill like this never before because of my immune system is not doing well. I also have developed arrhythmia. Although Ms. Chappell claims she has been asking for help with the bullying situation since October, she never brought the issue to the attention of a dean or central administration as board policy requires. The Chief Academic Officer responded to Ms. Chappell's email. We all share the goal of doing what's in the best interest of our students. You are currently being compensated and are expected to continue working. I would like to schedule a meeting with you today at 1 p.m. at the main campus. I will send a calendar invite shortly. Thank you, and I look forward to meeting with you. At about the same time, the Chief Academic Officer sent Ms. Chappell a meeting invite for later that afternoon at 1 p.m. Despite being on paid leave and the meeting being during normal business hours, Ms. Chappell did not accept the meeting invitation and did not show up for the meeting. This was the second time Ms. Chappell refused to follow a directive from the Chief Academic Officer and a continuation of her pattern of refusing to meet with Dean Lawrence, the Chief Academic Officer, and the Director of Legal Services. At 3:15 p.m. that day, Ms. Chappell emailed the Director of Human Resources with respect to the 1 o'clock meeting. So sorry I missed this. I wasn't feeling well and was resting. I worked throughout the weekend and today. Ms. Chappell did not submit a request for sick leave at any time since November 21st. If she had been too sick to work that day, she should have requested sick leave. On December 10th, 2024, Ms. Chappell responded to the Director of Human Resources email. December 3rd, 2024 email. I had a meeting with Dr. Wilson. As you are aware, I have resigned before, but then asked if they would need me to stay. I was asked if I wanted to resign or be terminated. I chose termination. This whole situation has been disturbing with all the assumptions that have been made about me. It hurts, but I will be okay. Thank you for the opportunity I had to serve the students. I was asked to return all my things. I don't know which campus to take them to. In the meeting with Dr. Wilson on December 10th, 2024, Dr. Wilson informed Ms. Chappell the opportunity to clarify and confirm her resignation, or he would otherwise be recommending her termination to the governing board for the reasons stated herein. On December 10th, 2024 at 5 p.m., Ms. Chappell delivered the student documentation she promised to deliver on December 5th, 2024. Contracted terms. Ms. Chappell's employment contract terms. District agrees to employ Ms. Chappell, and she agrees to be employed by the district to perform faithfully in the professional manner the usual and customary duty of the instructor and other such duties as assigned by the board or its superintendent may assign in accordance with Arizona law and district policies and regulations. Grounds for termination. The conduct described in the factual allegation violates Ms. Chappell's employment contract-based board policies and regulations and constitute unprofessional conduct and insubordination. Ms. Chappell's contract requires her to follow board policy. Ms. Chappell's conduct violated board policy. She did not report the alleged incident of bullying as required by board policy, took matters into her own hands instead of allowing the administration to investigate, publicly confronted and falsely accused students of bullying rather than handle that matter confidentially, confronted yet another instructor's students without confirming that a bullying had actually occurred and none has been confirmed, solicited other students to make allegations of bullying against the students she had confronted, and threatened to blame them if anyone found out what she had done. She admitted to a dean, "I don't know the whole truth," and asked for information and asked to be informed if any of her own students needed to be held accountable. Despite this, she accepted no responsibility for her conduct, continues to believe she has acted appropriately, asserts that she would do the same if confronted with the same situation, and thereafter engage in a pattern of insubordination to avoid meetings that were intended to address her concerns with Dean Lawrence, impose discipline for her mishandling of the alleged bullying, and to return her to the classroom. Even if bullying had occurred, informing her class of the bullying and having them witness her confronting the alleged bullies and informing Ms. Bray's class of the alleged bullying violated board policy because it breached confidentiality and violated the alleged bullies' due process rights. Her conduct was unprofessional, unwarranted, and prevented a proper investigation. By failing to follow the district's bullying policy, if bullying had occurred, Ms. Chappell's handling of the situation might have exposed the district to liability. The district cannot return her to the classroom knowing that she would repeat her conduct again and again expose the district to potential liability. Her belief that her intervention was necessary to curtail the situation is evidenced by 1, her ignorance of board policy, 2, her lack of faith in the ability of the administration to properly address bullying, and 3, unprofessional conduct. Her refusal to meet with administration during business hours to discuss her conduct while she was being paid are acts of insubordination. Her refusal to meet prevented the dean from addressing her refusal to meet prevented the district from addressing and remediating her concerns with Dean Lawrence and the handling of the alleged bullying incident. Her multiple resignations, withdrawal of resignations, and ambiguous statements regarding her resignation is unprofessional conduct. The foregoing constitutes grounds for termination of Ms. Chappell's employment. The governing board should provide written notice to Ms. Chappell of its intent to terminate her employment effective 10 days after the receipt of this notice and direct her to remain on administrative leave with pay pending the resolution of the charges. Dated this 16th of September, December 2024.
That's a lot.
Okay.
I have a question, though.
Yeah. Please. Go ahead.
This is a train wreck of epic proportions, but I have to look back and what was the precipitating incident? And I wonder why is it a good idea for a group of students to sit out in the hallway day after day, unsupervised?
So,
I can't even imagine that being acceptable for one day.
so if I could, and Counselor, if you would correct me, please. I hear what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree. I guess at the end of the day, the question that you all are
You know, I'm
tasked
not
with.
saying.
Okay, if I could, that you all are tasked with is, if what was described in the statement of charges is proven to be factually true, is that grounds for termination?
Oh, I have no doubt after all of that, but still would like to understand what the, you know, there's never one thing that causes a train wreck. But what was the first thing that happened in that chain? And that looks like to me that why are kids sitting out in the hallway day after day after day?
And there may be reasons behind that, and there certainly are concerns if that's the case. What I don't want, though, and again, from my perspective, is that in and of itself.
Well, that's another issue.
That's a whole different issue.
That could be the little nudge that.
Could be.
You know, and I'm not excusing the conduct and all the events that's set there, but.
Could be, but again, I reiterate, and correct me if I'm wrong, Counselor, the task isn't today
Right.
is if what is alleged is correct. Now, at the end of the day, there may be more to it, right? And so that may be determined that it's not correct, that it's not what is alleged isn't correct. But assuming that it is correct, would this be grounds for termination?
Oh, I have no doubt at this point, there's no other option. But still, I think it needs to be reviewed is why are students sitting in the hallway during class time? Students should be in a classroom.
David, you can add
That's all.
that at the calendar if you want to.
Pardon?
When we get to calendar, you can add that.
Well, yeah, we might need to talk about that, but we'll talk about that. But that's just my question, and after hearing all the statement of charges, she met the burden of being insubordinate and liable for termination.
Mr. President.
So I would move that, just excuse me a second, I would go ahead and move that the board move to uphold the recommendation of termination.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Hobson, do you have something else to say?
No, I second the motion.
Okay, second the motion. Any more comments by anybody else? We'll do a roll call vote.
It doesn't mean that she will have a right to a due process hearing if she pursues it. This whole statutory scheme for how that works, so.
Right.
This certainly meets the standard for an appropriate statement of charges.
Right.
I would move that, yes.
But there is an option for a hearing.
Yeah, there's the
process.
employee has the option for a
Okay.
hearing. You know, the employee, I believe, had sent an email to myself and to you all with the possibility of resigning. I mean, there's still some off-ramp opportunities, but those off-ramp opportunities are the next step based on what is decided here tonight.
Okay. All right. Is Ms. McAfee still on? I don't see her.
Doesn't look like
Okay.
it.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I just want to cross her off here. All right, Lane,
Aye.
Boyle,
Aye.
Metcalf. Aye. Covington,
Aye.
Boggs is an aye. Hobson?
Aye.
Okay, I think I got everybody, right?
You did.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay, it's passed.
Yes.
Okay. On to action 11, call for executive session. Can I have a motion?
I don't think do we still need that?
I don't believe that we do.
We don't.
No, I don't believe that we do. So I think you can just, you can table it or, no.
You just want to go on to the action item?
Yes.
Okay. We will not do executive session. Action item is possible action regarding retention of Pierce Coleman PLLC. Do I have a motion?
I move to retain the firm of Pierce Coleman PLLC.
Second.
First and second. We'll vote. We'll have the question by acclamation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried.
Okay. Superintendent summary. Had a gone long day today.
So,
Got anything left?
I don't, my gas is pretty, so I do want to take a minute, though. We as an organization are unique on so many different levels, and I personally have had the privilege of working in the organization where we've been highs and lows and goods and bads. And some of you have been through that whole journey, and some have joined as the train has gone down the track. But tonight is the last night of one of the original individuals who is serving her last night as a member of the EVIT governing board. And so, Ms. Boggs, I wanted to take a minute and thank you, not only on behalf of EVIT for what you've done and what you do to put students in the best position, but also personally for what you have done and did do at times in which we as an organization needed support and as an individual needed support. And so you're going on and having great opportunities in front of you, but just know that you'll be missed here. And we're grateful for what you have done to make us who we expect ourselves to be. So thank you, Ms. Boggs, for your work.
Thank you. And I believe that the last 6 years have prepared me for this next journey, because I have been over there also, and we have some stuff to do. There's lots of work, but EVIT's my heart, and I am so glad to see that we were able to change this culture, because the teachers who are new now do not know how good they have it, because the past was not good. And so I hope that there are staff still from the past who are currently here who can vouch for that. They can vouch for the culture change, and even when there are bumps in the road and there are things that are happening here at EVIT, it's nothing like it used to be. And that was my goal, to make sure that the teachers, that staff could come to work and feel safe and know that that they're doing good work for students. That's the goal. And so, thank you. I'm glad we got past all of that. Those were really long board meetings. Anyway, thank you. It's sad. It's sad and good.
Yeah, it's a mixed emotion. I mean, on the one hand, I'm excited for you. On the other hand, I'm sad to see you go.
I create lots of relationships that are going to help me fix what's going on in the county as best I can. So, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Being the board member's around a long time, too.
Yeah.
I went through all that with her.
Yes, you did.
And I agree with her, what she said. We'll miss you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll come visit. I'll come sit and watch you guys.
That's what they all say. But it never does.
Temporary clerk.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Okay. Let's see, calendar. Anybody want to add anything to calendar?
I have a, I think, pretty cool thing to add to an upcoming calendar. So I had connected with the EVIT Foundation Executive Director, Denny Brown, and he said he and the Foundation Board Chair would love to do a presentation to our board sometime in January about the work that the foundation is doing. So I thought we would be pretty interested in that. I know we've got some really busy board meetings in January. Maybe February would be best. But we'd love to coordinate with Dr. Wilson to see when we can get on the calendar.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And also, just as a reminder, we are going to cycle in the strategic data points.
Awesome.
And then there's going to be the strategic plan on Hope Tech, as well as then the continuation of the evaluation instrument. So there are some data points. You're going to love it, Mr. Boyd, that we got data points coming out the car.
2025 is going to be excellent. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
So what, is the 13th our first meeting?
Yeah, the 13th.
Yeah, look at
13th
13.
and the 27th.
Yep.
Yep, that's what it says here.
And that's the organizational meeting.
Okay. Mr. Hobson, next item, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Acclamation?
All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Phil, you didn't get
It's all right.
Thank you all. Thank you again, Ms. Boggs.
Ms. Boggs, we'll miss you.
No, you won't. You're going to have to see me.
8:20.